and welcome to this edition of Dustin's Kaleidoscope. I'm Dustin Dumas Weeks, and today my special guest is Kathy Zucker, who is the founder of Metro Moms Network LLC, and she is also the president of Zucker
Productions.
Zucker Productions. Thank you very much. It's quite a mouthful there. And today she's going to give us an overview of why she became an entrepreneur and some tips for other entrepreneurs, and specifically moms, parents in general. So first of all, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And can you give us a brief background regarding your entrepreneurship? Because I know these are not the first two businesses you've started. Is that correct?
Actually, Zucker Productions was the first one that I started.
Okay. And what does Zucker Productions do?
Marketing.
Marketing. Okay.
I was a marketing director in finance and healthcare for about 10 years before I became a mom.
Wow, okay.
And I never planned on staying home. I never planned on becoming an entrepreneur. I kind of fell into it.
Oh, okay.
It was unintentional, which is why I wrote an article about 6 months ago called Becoming an Unintentional Work-at-Home Mom.
Okay.
But the simplest thing to do if you're starting a business is to do what you already know. In my case, that's marketing. And that's how I started Zucker Productions. My initial clients were in healthcare because I was a hospital marketing director for about 3 years before I became pregnant with my oldest child, who is turning 6 this summer.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm a mom to a kid who's that old. It's a shock every day when I wake up and I see she's not that much
taller and taller.
Not that much shorter than I am. I'm like, where did you come from?
So how is, trying to balance motherhood and starting a business, how difficult was that? Or was it a little bit easier because you were going into the same industry you were coming from your corporate experience?
Well, I had always worked from home. I tend to be very techie. That's something that I'm unusual in marketing. Most of the time you have people who are skilled in graphics, writing, and so, I would go to conferences and I'd be the only one there who would say, technology, and I'd be, questioning the speakers about, the code behind.
Oh, wow, okay.
So, I'm not that hardcore, but I am much more techie than your typical marketing professional.
Okay.
So I do my own desktop support.
Wow.
I purchase my own equipment, and frankly, it was always better than anything that any of the banks or hospitals that I worked for ever provided. So I would work from home to avoid getting handed more work.
At least you're honest.
I go into meetings with the CEO, strategy sessions, and it's always, hey, so Kathy can go to the Greater New York Hospital Association meetings, and Kathy can help with this. And I'm thinking, Kathy kind of has a lot to do already. Maybe I'll go work from home a little more.
And so was this based on the fact that you were very good with technology, or was this just based on the fact that...
I'm pretty resourceful.
Okay.
I figure things out. And I'm good with strategy. I've found over the years that my absolute core strength, the one that I cannot hand off to anybody else, and believe me, I try to hand things off to people, is strategic planning.
Okay.
I am a planner. I think about 10 to 20 years in the future. And because I tend to see all the possibilities, that is very useful for businesses.
Okay.
So even though I hadn't ever planned on staying home, we had the structure for it, in that I have backup plans. I always have about 2 to 3 backup plans for every situation: housing, healthcare, savings. And when I had difficulties during the pregnancy with my oldest child, I wound up being home on medical disability for about 7 months.
Wow. Okay.
So first I was sick and sleeping a lot, but then I was bored. So I started talking to my contacts from the hospital, and in the course of one of those conversations, the fact that she was hiring for an organization came up. So that was one of my first marketing contracts. I was the executive director for a company called DecideYourCare.org. It's a healthcare advocacy group. I also did work for my former hospital, for a cardiologist, and when the time came for me to go back to work, it was so much harder being a parent than I ever anticipated that my husband and I are freaking out about childcare. Plus, there was a 1-year wait list for
childcare?
daycares in our area.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, I kind of had all these preconceived notions when I went into parenting, and none of them turned out to be accurate. So I was scrambling, and my husband and I were having all of these, kind of like crisis sessions, trying to figure out what to do. And at that time, his company had just been acquired by a large corporation. So I had been the primary breadwinner up until then. And during one of these conversations, he said to me, well, I'd kind of like it to be my turn now. So that required some mental adjustment.
And by my turn, he wanted to be the breadwinner.
Right.
And then you would sort of take the back
seat.
Okay.
Right. And, it took me such a long time to feel normal again. And I'm an athlete. I mean, I was on 2 national championship women's épée fencing teams. So for me not to feel good was highly unusual. And then also I've got this little person who was completely unpredictable. So basically something had to give, and what gave was my job.
Okay.
But at the same time, because I always have backup plans, I didn't want to do nothing. And also, frankly, I'm just happier when I'm thinking, when my brain is working.
Right.
So by starting my first company, I was able to keep my skills and my mind really keen. And the money was nice, too. Because I was doing work that I already knew, I established a baseline parameter, which is I don't work for less than $50 an hour.
Okay.
It's just not worth my time. By the time I pay for the babysitter and taxes,
of course, yes.
I net about $10 an hour.
Okay.
So that was my first company, and I still operate it. I still have my original clients from the beginning.
Okay.
And so because I have these relationships with these clients, I'm able to downgrade my work when I'm pregnant, because I just gave birth again. Mm-hmm. So now I have 3.
It's great.
Yes, I sometimes think, what have I done to myself? But it's done.
So no turning back now. So how has that
Exactly.
impacted your? No, okay. So you're talking about Zucker Productions.
Correct.
As the
my
marketing.
primary marketing company.
Yes.
That I have now been operating for almost 7 years.
Okay.
Because I started it while I was pregnant with my daughter.
But since then, you've opened, or you've started another
I've
business?
actually started 2 other companies.
Okay.
One of which I sold in December.
Okay.
And the other one is Metro Moms Network,
Yes.
LLC.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about Metro Moms Network and what is it, how did it come about, and why would you decide to torture yourself with 2 businesses at once? No, but seriously, tell us, how exactly what is Metro Moms Network, and also what do they do, and how did you decide to add that as part of your stable of companies?
Okay, about 2.5 years ago, I started getting really busy. And, I work from home, so I have a home office. In order for me to handle the increased work demands, I would have had to hire people. And then you're talking about increased overhead.
Oh, right.
Workman's comp, insurance, changing my entire business model to an off-site one, which I wasn't prepared to do, because that would also mean that I wasn't able to spend time with my kids.
Right.
Generally I work about 20 to 25 hours a week.
Okay.
I am not prepared to work 60 hours a week. So there are very strong social networking groups in Hoboken. There have been for about 5 years now. And I knew that there were a lot of other moms in the area in a similar boat. So your typical age for starting a family in Hoboken is pretty much in your 30s. Mm-hmm. You had a lot of moms who had had strong professional careers, who were just overwhelmed with parenting, who were home. And my clients tend to assume that I know everyone and everything, which is flattering, but is not actually the case. So they're asking me for things that I don't actually do, like bookkeeping. So I started putting out notices on the local message boards of, hey, come have lunch with me on Friday. So I started having a regular monthly luncheon that my clients catered, because they're nice.
That's very nice of them.
Yeah, it was very nice. They're still catering it to this day, which
Awesome.
is even nicer. But it wound up turning into the Metro Moms Network, because
The luncheons or
the luncheons grew into almost 400 members now.
Wow, that's
And
very good.
basically, I have stayed in touch with pretty much everyone there, so I know what they're up to. Moms get tapped out very quickly. You know, there's almost a life cycle. You can see it from parents. They're freaking out. I'm staying home. I don't know what I'm doing. I need to start making some money. And they start networking, and they talk to other parents in the network about what they need, computers, you know, introductions into schools or whatever other clients that they're looking to target. They hit about 3 clients, and then they're done. And they stop coming because they have hit capacity. You know, once you're working about 15 hours, 20 hours a week,
Uh-huh.
that's all you can do. Because your kid is in school. Once your kid's out of school, you're not getting anything done.
Exactly, yes.
So it's just grown. And based off of those luncheons, we have an online group where people post job listings and talk to each other about what they're looking for. There's also an annual expo, which we've done it 2 years in a row now, and the attendance has tripled.
Wow,
Where
that's impressive.
It's been great. It's showcasing the businesses that have both launched and grown through the Mom Consulting Network. And we also have an online magazine, which we have the hard copy also,
Awesome.
where we talk about the businesses and also how to get started, how to juggle work and career. Because the way I look at this is that we're all on a journey through life.
Right.
There's not one path that any one of us is going to follow. And chances are most of us are going to be dealing with unemployment, family crises.
And so the Metro Moms Network helps tackle all of these different things
Yeah.
to some extent.
We're giving answers to people. We're pointing them in the direction where they can get the answers that they need.
And having resources is a big, or knowing where to go for those resources is a wonderful thing for parents to have, especially if they're considering not just for the parenting advice, but as you were mentioning, if people are also interested in starting their own businesses. But Kathy, we're about to take a break here, so
Okay.
we're going to come back, and we'll be back to hear more from Kathy Zucker, and she'll tell us a little bit more about her businesses.
Local government, local educational institutions, and local community members all use cable access TV to communicate their message. They depend upon it as an affordable means of outreach. Public educational and government access television empowers local government agencies, individuals, and groups to use the media to speak directly to their constituents in a more direct and cost-effective way. Make sure everyone has a voice. Support your local PEG channels.
Hi, and welcome back to Dustin's Kaleidoscope. I'm Dustin, and I'm here with Kathy Zucker. And let's get started. I wanted you to tell us a little bit more about some of the resources that you have found useful in getting started in your business. So point us in the right direction.
So first of all, we have Mom Incorporated.
Okay.
For full disclosure, I was interviewed for this
Okay.
from the financial standpoint because I'm very good with money.
And what exactly is Mom Incorporated? What can one find in there? Because I know you have a few resources, so just give me the top 1 or 2 things.
Worksheets.
Oh, great.
Very practical worksheets in terms of money, business plan, just generally a how to market yourself.
Okay.
So are you thinking about starting a company that sells a product? What to expect? Etsy stores. So these 2 moms, Eliza Sherman and Danielle, went around the U.S. and interviewed moms everywhere to get a pretty wide sampling of businesses. And they wrote about it, provided useful worksheets that you can download for free from their website.
Wow, that's great.
And it's a very comprehensive primer for getting started with your own business.
Awesome. Okay, so tell us about some of the other resources.
Okay, well, Metro Moms Magazine, Surviving the Career Juggle.
Okay.
Also available online at metromoms.net.
Metromoms.net. Okay.
This is where we have career experts who write about surviving the juggle between family and work. So they
Okay.
provide useful tips like how to register a business. Basically, you can set up a sole proprietorship in the state of New Jersey in less than an hour
Okay.
for less than $100.
And
You can
these
get-
guys will help you.
Yeah, there's an
go
article that
take
just
you?
basically says what to expect
Oh, wonderful.
and
Okay.
links for where to go. And the only obligation is you have to file an annual report once a year for $40.
Okay.
You don't have to file a separate income tax return. All of
Okay.
the income can go through your personal income tax return on Schedule C.
Okay.
So this is something that I actually recommend for people who are unemployed, because you want to keep your skills alive. People tend to get hired when they have been unemployed for the shortest period of time.
Right.
And right now, with long-term unemployment at a record high, you don't know if you're going to get hired tomorrow or next week or next year. So talk to your network, talk to friends, talk to family members, talk to other parents at school drop-off. Help each other out, keep your skills up, volunteer. But nobody is going to put 20 different short-term assignments
Right.
on their resume.
Okay.
So if you register a business, all
then
that
you can put
falls-
everything under one umbrella.
Exactly.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So what are some of the other tools or resources that you?
The Wall Street Journal
Okay.
and the New York Times have excellent current events and also real-life blogs where people who are entrepreneurs talk about their issues, how they solve them, and also are looking for crowdsourced advice.
Wow.
So
That's
it's in-
that's great. I really like the crowdsourcing part because
Oh, yeah.
because you have experts, that's wonderful, but then maybe there's a certain twist that someone hasn't talked about, and that since it's crowdsourced, you get other opinions. So
More
that's
minds
great.
are always better than one or two,
Yes.
because somebody usually knows something that makes you say, ah, I didn't know that. That's
Okay.
really interesting and possibly useful.
Okay, that's wonderful. So I don't know if are there any other resources that you would like?
Forbes.
Forbes.
Forbes also has an excellent small business entrepreneur section.
And is this Forbes online or is this the Forbes?
Everything I do is online.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Everything. Okay. So I'll just
But
make a note of
Forbes
that.
and the Wall Street Journal also have excellent blogs about parents who are entrepreneurs and
Oh,
how
that's
they're
great.
juggling things. The New York Times tends to be more business oriented. Like there's a woodworking cabinetry store that talks about their problems hiring. Like it's more cut and dried business, whereas the Wall Street Journal and Forbes focus more on the family aspect, because you
have
deal
to
with
balance everything.
yeah. For example, it's summer vacation now. Kids are out of school. You're working at home.
What do you do?
Yeah, how do you deal with that? And there's an article in the Wall Street Journal that covers just that. I mean, basically, these parents have sofas in their office. So they work during the morning, the kids wander in, lie on the sofa while mom's working, and they know just the proximity is enough.
Is enough so that they don't necessarily interrupt the parents working.
But they don't feel shut out.
Exactly.
And they know that if they let mom work and pay the bills, then in the afternoon she'll take them swimming.
Exactly. That's great.
So
Great. I wanted to touch on, so in the first half of the show, you talked a little bit, well, more than a little bit, but you talked about how you started your two businesses. But I wanted to also find out if did you have any mentors?
Oh, yes.
So, for example, the first business, Zucker Productions, I know how you got started, but who were your mentors during that period?
my accountant was actually probably one of the strongest ones. Well, I'm a fencer. So that means that for the last 20 years, roughly, I have been dealing with families. I was on the board of directors for our Fencers Club, which is the oldest fencing club in the United States. I have been on boards for probably about 10 years.
Okay.
And also dealing with families. So I talk to people.
Okay.
That's what I do. Without even realizing it, I was kind of storing nuggets of information away. And you tend to have a lot of moms who work for themselves in the world of elite fencing. So I'm talking to these moms and business owners, and just randomly over the years, finding out that they fell into running their own businesses, and it's turned out to be excellent for work-family balance. Because in order to be an elite fencer, you're talking about a lot of travel. So, I mean, one of these kids was Emily Cross, who was on the Olympic team in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
So her mom wrote a computer software application that she wound up selling, and she worked as a consultant for the entire time her kids were growing up, maintaining this application. So she would be next to the Strip in Europe and, you know, all over the world working on her laptop. And she wasn't the only one. So it provided flexibility for the family so that the kids could really be the best that they could be, while also providing some income for the family and
Right.
keeping the mom's career going.
So it sounds like these mentors that you have didn't even realize that they were your mentors. Like you emulated them in a sense, or you
Right. Well, my
took
accountant
them-
actually knows she's my mentor.
Oh,
But with these other moms, you know, I mean, there were just so many data points there that, you know, it stayed with me. And when I started my first business, you know, when I was moving along, I thought, you know what, this might be viable long term.
okay.
This could be the best way to balance what's best for my family and also what's best for me.
That's wonderful. I like the fact that you not excuse me you not only had a formal mentor, but you also looked to other parents and looked at the lifestyle that they had and tried to emulate that. That's wonderful.
Well, you see what works for other people, you know, and it's all about data points. The more data points that you have, the more informed decisions you can make. Because, you know, a lot of the time, I don't really have a lot of time to figure things out. You know, when a crisis happens, you got
to handle it immediately. You don't have, you know, the option in most cases to research it to death and then make a decision, but you
Right.
just have to make a decision immediately.
Yeah.
And thinking of immediacy, I wanted to find out, like, how do you use social networks, which is always immediate? Like, which ones do you use? How do you use them? And why have you chosen those?
Twitter. I am on Twitter pretty much if I'm awake, I'm on Twitter. So, you
So
know.
you're not using any of those software programs where, you know, Twitter posts for you?
Oh, well,
You
yeah,
know.
we do have some. I mean, I use
Okay.
Hootsuite also.
Okay.
If I need to post on multiple, because several of us share the Metro Moms Twitter account.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, I'm not going to go and log out and log in.
Right. You
So
just
basically,
don't
I'll just go onto Hootsuite and I'll start posting. Like, there's something that I'm tweeting. I basically use my personal Twitter account, which is Kathy Zucker.
Okay.
And if in my travels, I come across something that is relevant to Metro Moms Network or also Hoboken Biz Chat, which is a business chat that I am going to launch soon on Fridays, Friday
That's
evenings.
awesome. Okay.
10 o'clock. So basically, you know, if I find something that is appropriate to one of those handles, then I will go into Hootsuite and tweet.
And tweet on one of the two. So
Right.
you use Twitter most of the time. How about
Yes.
Facebook? How about
Yes.
Quora? How about any of the other ones? Do you?
I do use Facebook, and I've been focusing on Pinterest lately.
Oh, okay.
But it's interesting because what I've found is that because I have a number of marketing clients, and the company that I sold in December was well, it still is, it's a relaxation beverage company. So what I wound up finding was the best way to market that was Facebook, of all things.
No. Why is that? Why not send out a tweet about a relaxing beverage?
It has to do with where your audience is located.
Okay.
The Serenity audience is clustered in places. It's here in New Jersey, it's Florida, North Carolina, and California. So what would happen is that you would have a cluster of these users in these geographic areas who would go to the Facebook page and then basically tell all their friends about it.
Oh,
And it was the most efficient way to reach these people, whereas many people find Twitter intimidating. It's not the easiest network to use
Okay.
because you have the hashtags, you have the limitation of the 140 characters,
Oh.
and also you really have to spend time building relationships on Twitter the same as you do in real life. And people don't put in what they expect to get out. So they get frustrated because they expect for there to be, you know, a cast of thousands right away.
Right.
Whereas you really have to kind of build those relationships and then get them to retweet you. And if you find the right people to retweet you, for example, my husband created a fake account that gets 1,000 people retweeting him. I don't know how he's doing this.
Wow.
He tried explaining this to me. Yeah, it's called Neckbeard Hacker.
Hacker. Okay.
He explained it to me that he's appealing to a very specific subset of programmers.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And that's how he's getting, and he has followers who have huge followings. So if you get someone who has 50,000 followers to retweet you, then you're going to pick up
Oh, I see.
a lot of followers right away.
Okay. Well, Kathy, we have about 1 minute left.
Okay.
And I want to get in the name of your website,
metromoms.net.
metromoms.net, and you
Yes.
said you're also launching a business. Tell me what that is on Friday at 10.
Oh, Hoboken Biz Chat.
Hoboken Biz Chat, and what is that about?
Talking to local business owners about how they've started up their businesses and helping people who are interested in starting businesses.
Okay, and so are both of those websites available to?
They're on, well, Hoboken Biz Chat is on Twitter.
Okay,
So you'd
Okay.
have to go to @Hoboken Biz Chat,
okay.
but I'll be there for an hour on Fridays answering questions.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, and is this just ongoing? It's for,
I'm
okay.
hoping to get it started very soon. I have a 2.5-month-old at home, so it's
Oh, okay.
a little bit, sketchy in terms of like when exactly it's going to start, but within probably the next month.
Perfect. Okay, well, Kathy, thank you so much for being here. I think this has been
Thank you for
just
having me.
absolutely wonderful. A lot of information for people, and thank you so much for joining us. This has been Dustin's Kaleidoscope, and we will see you next time.